Roughly 20 million barrels of oil move through a single narrow waterway every day. That is about 1/5 of the world's oil supply. The route runs between Iran and Oman through the Strait of Hormuz. Every day, tankers pass through this corridor carrying energy from the Gulf to markets across Asia, Europe, and beyond, which means a narrow maritime passage quietly sits at the center of the global energy system. And whenever tensions rise in the region, the same question returns. What actually happens if the Strait of Hormuz closes? In recent years, attacks on oil tankers, drone incidents, and rising tensions around Iran have repeatedly raised concerns about shipping through the strait. When that happens, the first effects are rarely military. Insurance premiums for tankers surge. Shipping companies reconsider routes. Navies increase patrols. Even before any blockade occurs, risk itself begins moving markets. But the real importance of Hormuz is not just the ships passing through it. It is the system those ships represent. The Strait of Hormuz is only about 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Yet through this narrow corridor flows nearly 20 million barrels of oil every day, making it one of the most critical arteries in the global energy system. But the actual shipping lanes are far narrower. In practice, global energy flows move through just a few tightly controlled corridors. That concentration of traffic turns the strait into a strategic bottleneck. A small number of shipping lanes carry a massive share of the world's oil supply, which means a disruption in one narrow passage can ripple across the entire global energy market. For regional powers, the strait represents leverage. Iran cannot easily close Hormuz permanently. Doing so would likely trigger a large international military response. But Iran does not need to fully block the strait to create pressure. Attacks on ships, naval maneuvers, missile tests, or drone activity can raise the perceived risk of transit. For the United States and its allies, keeping Hormuz open becomes a strategic priority, which creates a constant tension between deterrence, signaling, and escalation. Here is the critical point. Global oil markets do not need the Strait of Hormuz to fully close in order to feel pressure. The system is far more sensitive than that. Shipping insurance markets react quickly to risk. Energy traders price geopolitical tension into global oil markets. Shipping companies may slow or reroute tanker traffic. In practice, fear alone can begin disrupting the system. If tanker traffic through Hormuz drops significantly, the effects spread rapidly. Oil supply tightens, energy prices rise, shipping routes shift. Governments may begin releasing strategic petroleum reserves to stabilize markets. What begins as a regional security crisis can quickly become a global economic shock. The Strait of Hormuz reveals something deeper about the global economy. Many critical systems depend on a small number of fragile nodes. When geography concentrates the flow of energy, goods, or information, those narrow points gain enormous strategic importance. A few kilometers of water can suddenly carry global consequences. Hormuz is only one part of a larger system. Other major choke points include the Suez Canal, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the Strait of Malacca. Together, these narrow passages form the arteries of global trade and energy flows, and when tensions rise near any one of them, the effects can spread far beyond the region. This is why tensions in the Gulf attract global attention, not because every confrontation leads to war, but because a single narrow waterway holds disproportionate influence over the energy system that powers the global economy. Understanding the Strait of Hormuz means understanding how geography can shape global power.